Hello, this is Jennifer Gore with St. George Episcopal Church in the Villages, Florida. Today I'm speaking with Chuck Mander, whose musical performances at St. George have amazed us all. Chuck, you have a lifelong career centered around music. Tell us about your experiences in the Navy as a musician.
Well, let me start by saying that I had a 8-year teaching career, teaching music in public schools. And when I decided that wasn't my calling, having been in a National Guard band during those same 8 years, I thought that a career in the military might be a good way to continue my music. So I auditioned for the Navy, was accepted, and ended up spending 21 years doing just that.
So tell us about your performances in your military career.
Being a military musician has basically 3 different functions. One is in support of the military ceremonies. The other was in support of Navy recruiting. I did a lot of concerts in high schools in support of Navy recruiting. And the third one is in support of the community. And public concerts, bandstands in the summertime. And that was most evident when I was stationed overseas. I did a couple of tours in Naples, Italy, and so I did a lot of public performances there, and during that time got an opportunity to see a lot of Italy, Africa. I've been all over Africa and in the entire Mediterranean region. I did 2 tours in Naples, Italy, and loved both of them. When I had the opportunity to go back the second time and play in a NATO band, I jumped on that, and so I was able to further enhance my Italian experience.
So tell us a little bit about the NATO band.
The NATO band was on a NATO base, of course. It was the commanding officer of the base was a United States Navy admiral, and my boss was a Navy lieutenant. But I got to work with Army, Navy, and Air Force musicians from the United States, as well as Italian, Army, Navy, Air Force, Carabinieri, which is a paramilitary force in Italy, Greek Army, Greek Navy, and Royal Marine musicians from the United Kingdom.
So what kind of performances did you do?
Well, on the NATO base, we did a lot of performances because for every holiday of any of the NATO countries, there was usually a ceremony associated with it. So I played for all of the American, all the Italian, all the Greek, and all the British holidays. As I mentioned, got to travel a lot, and the public performances that we did were very important because it shows the military in a non-offensive manner. The Italians absolutely loved to hear Glenn Miller and the music from World War II because they still have not forgotten and have thanked us for helping to liberate Italy during World War II.
That's amazing. So your experiences in Italy kind of led you to another point in your life where you met your wife, Juanita. Tell us a little bit about how you met.
Well, my last duty station was in Norfolk, Virginia, and I knew I was nearing the end of my career, and I posted an ad in Yahoo Personals that Juanita saw. And some of the things that were in that ad were that I was going to be retiring from the Navy soon and that I had just come back from Italy. Well, coincidentally, Juanita had just come back from Italy the year before, where she was in Naples working for the Navy. So that was the common, the connection that we shared when we first met. And a couple of short stories about that was, as we were getting to know one another, she mentioned going to a Navy ceremony on the NATO base for a particular naval person that was retiring. And I said, well, you must have seen me then because I was the one conducting the band at that ceremony. But it didn't end there. She had a massage therapist who was a British woman married to an American sailor, and she said, I went over to say hello to Margot, my therapist, after the ceremony, and I said, I know Margot. I went over to say hello to her after the ceremony. She had lived in the apartment that I lived in when I was there, and I had met her and her husband in the Navy.
I think you were destined to meet.
Apparently.
You said you had another interest that you and Juanita enjoyed early in your relationship. Tell us about that.
Motorcycling. My profile picture that she had seen on Yahoo Personals was of me in my motorcycle uniform with a valley in Italy. She had not ridden motorcycles since she was a young girl, but early in our relationship I said, would you like to take a ride on my motorcycle? She said yes, and it took off from there to the point that when we were living in Washington for the 5 years, we went out for as much as 2 weeks on the motorcycle vacationing, including camping. And it was something that we enjoyed for the entire 5 years that we were out there. However, upon moving to the Villages back in 2010, we've kind of traded the motorcycle for a golf cart, and the motorcycle has kind of taken a back seat. We still do enjoy it when we can, but the golf cart is really more of our source of entertainment when we're not in the car.
Yeah, that's the way it is in the Villages. You got to have a golf cart, don't you?
Yes.
And so, after your military career, you retired to the Villages in 2010, and you found a few opportunities around here to play as well, haven't you?
I certainly have. We vacationed here in the wintertime for about 5 years until she retired, and I had occasion to meet another retired Navy musician who, coincidentally, we both discovered he had auditioned me for the Navy back in 1984. Well, when we moved down here about 8 months later, he had fixed me up with a couple of different bands, and I almost had almost have another career in music since we've been here. I've been very fortunate to have had the opportunity to play for several different organizations. I've played in several churches. None more enjoyable than performing right here at St. George. I've enjoyed working with all of the accompanist that I've worked with here, and it's been a special pleasure for me to have been able to share my musical talents with the folks right here at St. George.
So other than St. George, you performed at some of the Savannah Center, and tell us a little bit about doing some of those performances.
I've performed with several different groups at the Savannah Center, most recently this past weekend for a well-known vocalist, Alex Santoriello, a well-known performer here in the Villages. I did some Sinatra shows with him in February and again last weekend. I've done a couple of performances at the Sharon with Fernando Varela, who was a well-known singer originally from this area. And I've played at the St. Timothy's next door across the street, and several other churches in the area and with various ensembles.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. It's always a pleasure to listen to you at our services at St. George Episcopal Church. Well, thank you, Chuck, for your service both to our country and your many performances at St. George and in our community. And thank you, audience, for participating in St. George's Episcopal Spotlight on Parish Life.